Hi everyone, I'm Linden Thorp and I'm here for Your Body is Your Business Plan, the Masterclass, and we're here every Wednesday. And this is cycle 6. We've run this cycle 6 times. I can't believe it. It's amazing. And each cycle is different guests, different topics. And really it's, amazing occasion to bring people together to talk about the things that matter, especially for those people in business. We're all internet business owners, and we are trying to be ethically visible. And today we're going to talk about scaling without burning out. And this is really important because setting up a business for the first year or so is one thing. But then when you reach a point where you feel you have to expand and grow and so on, that's another, because it's then that you need closely what you're doing. It's then that most people burn out. And we're going to talk about burnout tonight because we've got a summit coming up on the 11th and 12th of August next week. It's called the Burnout Summit, Burnout and Embodiment Summit. And Ebishila Dietz-Biff is here. She organized it. I'm kind of behind her, pushing, and I'm speaking. And we've also got another speaker here on the summit, Arnold Wong, who will come and join us in a moment. So in a moment, and introduce my lovely guest. There's another really magical person just getting here, and I'm so glad she's here. I'll introduce you to her in a moment. So first of all, let me just set the scene by making a little presentation. It's very short, I promise you. Then, sacred scale. We are thinking about growing without leaving yourself behind. It's really sad that many people start a business very zealously, very enthusiastically, but it's hard work. And by the time they have established everything they need, maybe they get so tired. And in fact, in 2025, only 4% of internet businesses that had started that year survived. Very pleased to say I was one of them. And I think Ebishila was another. And I hope Arnold was another, but I think he started the next year. So I'm not sure about that. We'll ask him. And we'll ask Christina too about that. She's going to come in a minute. So yeah, this is the important stage when you start to scale, because most people think that scaling is getting bigger. Okay, that's what we can interpret maybe from this word scaling. But we have to ask always, what has your success cost your body? And it's really important to pause at this point and to notice what's going on. And these things are way beyond explanation. I think maybe all our guests tonight may agree with that once you get to the stage where you've established your business and you want to make it grow and make it successful, then the real challenge begins, because you have to decide how to do that without losing yourself. Yeah. We'll come on to this in a moment. So growth really should expand your capacity, but in many cases it doesn't. It consumes it. And this is something I feel really concerned about. And the body often whispers before it screams. So with embodiment, if we are truly embodied, then scaling becomes something much more manageable. It becomes something of an opening to new horizons, to new parts of yourself, more in the moment. Burnout is the body asking for space. Burnout is such a serious condition. It's the nervous system saying, no, I can't do this. And the nervous system really just breaks down. 20, 30 years ago, we called it nervous breakdown. And in fact, when my own brother was 21, he burnt out. He had a nervous breakdown because he wanted to be a teacher and he had all the theory, or such a bright man, so intelligent, off the scale, actually. And when he started to run his classes, he was given a really difficult class in a really difficult area, urban area, and he just couldn't deal with the reality of students who bullied him, students who were undisciplined. No one had prepared him for that. And because he was disembodied, because he wasn't connected to his body and spirit, he broke down. It was horrific. So at a rather young age, I had a first-hand experience of burnout, and I helped my brother to recover through music therapy, through many of the things that I bring together now in Lodestone. So I've witnessed it, and since then I've worked with many people who have burned out. So we can talk about that more in a moment. So basically growth then, where do we feel it? Basically, we have 4 inner compasses. There are many others, but these are the ones to focus on. Got the head and brain, and ancient brain stem, and the pineal gland here. Very important. The heart and lungs, they work in tandem. The solar plexus is just at the base of the rib cage. This is your center of power. It's also your center of gravity. If you start to move around, you'll find your place in the gravitational field by focusing on your solar plexus. And when I work with people, that's the first thing I do. I get them centered. Some people call it centering. It's all to do with the solar plexus, just below your rib cage. And then we also have at the base of the spine, the pelvic area, and a very crucial energy center called the base chakra. And this is the location of birth for women, of procreation for men, and of elimination for all of us. The body builds up toxins, and we have to get rid of them. If we don't, we get sick, and eventually we may die. So this base chakra is really important. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a moment. So business, body. So, in the business world, especially now, because so many people are burning out, we have to bring them back to the body. And really, it's like breathing. You can't sustain growth without breath. I'm sure that makes sense to everybody listening. Our LinkedIn audience, our YouTubers. You can't do anything without the breath. So a lot of my work with Lodestone is about the breath. Then basically we can build something, and this is what happens when we build a business. We build the foundation. And if it's sustainable, then we can flow with it. Many times we can go on and on with that foundation, as long as we are embodied, as long as we are really anchored in our physical state. So in the end, happiness that depends on success is not true happiness. Happiness that depends on anything else is not true happiness. We meet people who say they're happy, but when we go closer inside to ask how, they say, oh, because I have a lovely wife, because I have lovely children, because I've got a beautiful car, because I've got a good bank balance, because I have a great job. And then the revelation comes. Well, what would happen if you didn't have those things? Most people say, oh, well, it's impossible. I have to have those things to be successful. All the time, our success truly depends on ourselves and only ourselves. We have to be self-dependent, self-reliant if we're going to succeed. And success has to start with self. If we're successful to ourselves, then the external manifestation of that is not so crucial, but it will happen because the inner world and the outer world are really reflections of each other, and only our skin is in between. The invisible and the visible are both important in whatever we do. So, yes, scale your business, and you can see I've written a book about this. You can get that. I run Lodestone, which is a 30-day program, which will really get you into your true nature. And also, as I mentioned, we've got the Worthy Burnout and Embodiment Summit coming very soon on the 11th and 12th of August. And we're all set to go to really talk about how to deal with burnout. Not solutions. We're not offering solutions. We're offering precautions, we're offering preventions, and of course, recovery. I am connected to a lot of healthcare practitioners, and my speciality really is recovery. Not only recovery from burnout, but from other diseases too. So if you'd like to know more about any of these things, please contact us and we'll be in touch straight away with the relevant links. Okay, that's enough from me. I'm going to bring our lovely guests on stage. Here's Ebishila, here's Arnold Wong, and here is Christina Vidovic, who is a really good friend, but hasn't been able to join us for a while because she's been all over the world making women visible. So this is really exciting, and I've been following everything you've been doing, Christina. It's great to have you. Thank you so much for coming. And Arnold, too, thank you so much for being here. Arnold is one of our speakers at the upcoming summit, and so we're really interested to hear from him tonight. And Ebishila, who has organized the whole summit and is here to tell us more about it. So please switch on your microphone and let's talk. Can you all switch on? There we go. Christina, how are you?
Fantastic. I'm still traveling around the world. This time I'm in the Philippines, so I'm just a short
Philippines,
ride. Yes, from you.
Fantastic, because it means you're in a time zone that's compatible. And I have to admit that I invited you to this, to Embodiment Q&A on Friday, and I got the time zone completely wrong for America, and I asked you to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning or something. I'm sorry about that. Still feel terrible about that. I don't know what came over.
Well,
Ebishila, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Looking forward to our conversation. Yeah, waking up at 3 a.m. Poor Christina. Never mind. It's easily
Saying
done with this.
Do
all
say
the
something.
time.
Go ahead.
Sounds, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. I still feel bad about it, but I think you've forgiven me, maybe.
Indeed. Indeed.
Great, thank you. So, Christina, go ahead. Tell us what you've been up to.
Yeah, well, it's so interesting that this happens to be the topic, and the universe and the beautiful way that it works is everything that I'm celebrating this week is about the pause. Every single
Oh,
social media post that I'm putting up right now is about the pause, because I'm here visiting my family and taking the pause so I can
good for
step away
you.
from that space of burnout, especially in the summer months where, as school children, we always take this time off for our summer break to play and enjoy our life. But when we start working as entrepreneurs, what are we doing? We're working harder and going on and on. So it is incredible that this is the space and the place that I happen to be
Mm,
joining you all this
wow,
week.
that's
Yes, in my
fantastic. I'm
pause.
so glad. Yeah, it's definitely, all in the universe, as you say. And yeah, we were meant to have you here today. I'm so glad you could make it. I wasn't quite sure where you were when I sent the message. And I thought maybe you could be scuba diving in, Thailand
In
or
the
somewhere.
Maldives.
But so glad. And I have to say that Christina's exceptional because she takes her son on her travels. He's with you, yeah,
He
and
is.
she's homeschooling him so that he can have the best experience of the world. I really think this is the best possible education for kids. Having been in education most of my life, when I look at the classroom compared with the classroom of the world, where we learn about cultures and so on, really, it's the best possible thing you could do. So, bravo, Anthony. So lovely to have you there. Ebishila, how are you today?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you.
You're good? Yeah? Great. And Arnold, how about you?
Yeah, I'm good as well. Thank you. I
Good.
like the classroom analogy that you mentioned. It's very, very resonant.
Yeah. Because, of course, Arnold is a Singaporean, but he's at the moment, where are you at the moment? In northern Thailand, still in Chiang Mai?
Yeah, that's right. In northern
Yeah.
Thailand, Chiang Mai.
Yeah. Yeah. So you too believe in traveling. Yes. When I was 50 years of age, I put a rucksack on my back and I traveled for 2 years around the world. And I visited 41 countries. I experienced incredible cultures, and I didn't go back home for 2 years. Just one backpack. And actually, this week, that has really brought back memories for me, because when you travel like that, every little thing in your rucksack matters. So you have to throw away all the irrelevant things. You can only keep the things that you can actually carry. And I think that's a real metaphor for life. And I've been writing a lot about this too recently. We need to offload some of our burdens, I feel. And when we talk about burnout, yes, I think we can say that people very often have these heavy burdens they're carrying around, which, they can't sustain. So burnout is when we can no longer sustain what we're doing. And in terms of business, yeah, that's true. Once you've got your foundation, the next stage is where the burdens can accumulate and you can start to burn out. So, what about the video, Ebishila? What did you think? What the presentation? Any comments?
Just like we always say, like the pause is very important. Take time for yourself. What is really success, happiness. It's all about being happy, isn't it? And I think we attach our success to monetary value, which is important in the world. But if we have true happiness within, then those things come. But I think sometimes we try to get those things first before getting the happiness, which can result in the burnout or result in people giving up. Again, we put time on things, so we have to have it in 3 months, and maybe that's not what it's supposed to be for us. And so that causes the anxiety and the nervous system and all those pressures that we put. And yeah, it is difficult because we have bills to pay and we have things that we want to do. But I think if we sort ourselves out, those things will come. But the anxiety causes the fear, which blocks. And I was listening to this thing, I don't know if you've heard of Mind Value, and his name is Vishen Lakhani, and he's got an advert that he keeps rolling on. And he talks about your manifestation not being what you want, but being what you are. So you manifest what you are. So if you're asking for something and it's not coming true, what's going on inside is the question. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Are we ready to receive? You have to be ready to receive. Are we in a position to receive?
Yes, that's what we've been talking about. I don't know if you've been following it, but yeah, receiving. Today, just to get the conversation going, I had an amazing conversation with a very senior oncology surgeon. I'm really working with healthcare professionals now. And he's just retired, but he's had 50 years of surgery with oncology. So he's been working with cancer for 50 years. So he's tremendously knowledgeable, wise, incredibly insightful. And he said to me, yeah, you're so right, Linden, because the reason my patients don't survive after the, what's it called in English? The chemotherapy. Yeah. Sorry, I've got the Japanese word here. Korsibustion in Japanese, but chemotherapy, that people don't survive chemotherapy or don't survive after chemotherapy is very much to do with the fact that they can't receive. So he says, I spend all my time telling them that if they don't want their cancers to come back, what they have to do is exercise moderately, given their condition, and also receive. They have to accept things from other people, because basically, and he's a scientist, so he had to be a little bit guarded about this, but basically every human being has the ability to self-heal. We can all do it. Our ancestors did it, long before hospitals and radar and all of that stuff. We just had our bodies and our spirits, and people survived so that we are here now, So he said to me, yes, we've got to show people how to receive. They've stopped receiving because they're so fearful, so worried that their cancer will come back. And so Lodestone, which is my creation, Abby Sheila and I working with this in various contexts, really offers that. It's direct experience. And when you start to directly experience something, the receiving gates open up and you start to receive instead of transmitting. So we are taught and really shown in this modern business world that we have to constantly transmit. We have to get our message out there. We have to really push to get people to notice us. Actually, if we enlist the universe and the spiritual world and so on, then receiving and opening up those receiving gates will get us much more notice. Why? Because what happens is once we start to really focus on the body, the breath, the spine, the whole body awareness, we start to balance the body, the spirit, and the mind. That will radiate out. And Christina, I'm sure this is happening to you because you are attracting so many women to come and be visible with you. I'm seeing it constantly. And I think this is your magnetic quality that you've worked on. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's really important, just like you said, is the moments of receiving, because even for myself, when I'm putting myself out there, I have to slow down so those who need the message, I'm understanding, oh, this is the space I need to be in for someone else as well. So yeah, and finding that calm. And I love one of the things you mentioned earlier in that place of knowing is I feel it right there in that solar plexus, that joy of like, okay, I'm open and ready for that receiving. And that's the easiest way for me to say it is joy, absolute joy.
Fabulous. I mean, that's what it is. And another colleague of ours called Marlene Greenleaf, Dr. Marlene Greenleaf, she's always talking about joy. And she says happiness is the outer version of this, but joy is something very much inside. And yeah, I totally agree that joy for me comes from the solar plexus. I mean, that's the center of intuition. It's also the place where we are really vulnerable. So that, evolution shows us that human beings stood up 7 million years ago. 7 million years ago, we decided to stop growing around on all fours and we stood up. Imagine that. It's the most extraordinary thing, I think. And we stood up so we could see the horizon. We could pick the best fruit from the trees. And that verticality, that vertical state, introduced a new aspect into humanity, which was gravity. If you're on all fours, you don't need to bother so much about gravity. But when you are upright and you are tall, maybe even taller than you ever imagined, then you are really vulnerable. You become so vulnerable to attack, and so the solar plexus really has evolved over our history to be the center of our knowing. And it's also the center of gravity of the body, as I mentioned in my little presentation. If you move around a little bit forward, a little bit backwards, even now in your seats, there's a point at which you find a balance. And the same side to side. If you move side to side, you'll find a point where, this feels comfortable. And that is your solar plexus directing your gravitational center. So, Christina, I'm very pleased to hear you say that that's where you feel your strength is. Certainly for me, that's my strongest area. What about Ebishila? How do you feel about your solar plexus? Well, I think I know, but share it with us.
I think I found out that that's the root of our grounding, and I have worked on that, and so I can feel. I mean, it's difficult to describe these things, but I can feel like really rooted in what my decisions are. I feel safe, and a lot of things that happen, you kind of like feel it there, don't you? Like I said, the butterfly the stomach and all that when you
some people call it a dot, but you know that's something slightly lower. That's the abdominal area. But I think most people probably feel that incredible deep feeling in their solar plexus, which is just below your rib cage and very close to your diaphragm.
Yeah, I think you just say stomach, isn't it? Because that's kind of like the colloquial or the normal way. Yeah, but you're right. It's just exactly there, isn't it? So it's kind of like, is it my chest? Is it my tummy? What is it? You know?
Yeah. So, you know, the way the body is aligned, if the solar plexus is really in good nick, in good condition, then everything else will follow. You know, we will have this lovely alignment down through the spine. And we're so then strong, so strong. So imagine.
Is it not from just a quick question, sorry to interrupt. So is it not from the root chakra then? You're saying it's from the solar plexus and not from...
Well, they're very connected. They are really connected. As I mentioned earlier, do stop me and ask questions. I'd love it if you did. But basically, they are connected energically. But as I mentioned, the base chakra, the root chakra, is much more about your lower body, really, and about your, you know, the strength that comes from elimination and so on, and the way we handle that lower body. But the solar plexus is also connected to the brainstem. So if you've ever encountered a psychic person, I have encountered many, and in fact, many are my friends, and in fact, I am quite psychic too. Then there are neurotransmitters that connect the whole thing to the brain. So when we talk about having a vision, you know, people have visions about things, you know, then that's very often to do with the solar plexus because it's the center of intention. And so they are really connected. All these four compasses that run up and down the spine are really connected. And once they're aligned and the needles are quivering to true north, which is what I work with and Lodestone works with, then we're perfect. You know, we're really in tune with ourselves, and there's nothing we can't do. Arnold, you're very quiet. Arnold, have you got some questions? This may be rather new to you, all this stuff. Is it? Yeah.
This is why, because I'm not very familiar with the solar plexus and the concepts about true north, but I do know about the nervous system and how it doesn't really lie. Like, for example, there was once in a high stress situation, my heart was beating super duper fast, and I knew that it was because of a lot of stress, and my body was screaming to me, hey, slow down, stop. So, I'm curious to hear a bit more about what exactly the science behind the solar plexus and nervous system is.
Well, that's so lovely you give that example, because yes, I think, of course, if Margaret Barry were here, which she can't be tonight, unfortunately, but she would talk about body chemistry, and that's her speciality. So, yeah, of course, your body is full of chemicals, not only enzymes, but also hormones and so on that are released in certain situations and so on. And so, yes, in a situation you describe where you were really stressed, a lot of chemical changes are happening all at once. You're probably producing too much cortisol, which is the main stress hormone. And by the way, don't be afraid of stress, because we need stress. If we didn't have some cortisol in the body, then we couldn't be upright. And that's really interesting compared with, related to what I just mentioned. Because our preferred state is vertical, You may say, "Oh, I'd rather be lying down sleeping." Well, yes, of course, that me too. I'm a sleep queen, but that's a little bit different because we're taking refuge from gravity, because gravity, we're always fighting with gravity to be upright like that. But the chemicals that are keeping us upright mainly consist of cortisol-related chemicals. So we do need stress. I've got quite a few medical friends who say, whatever you do, tell people that stress is their friend. Stress is a signal, really. It's a very good signal. So Arnold, as you say, when you started, your heart was pumping away, you started to feel really strange. That's your body signaling you to stop whatever it is you're doing and find another quieter place or lie down. Or something. Take a pause. Yeah, take a pause. So, don't completely eliminate stress from your thoughts, because without it, we couldn't be upright for 16 hours a day the way we are now. And that's part of our evolution. 7 million years ago, as we started to stand up more and more, straighter and straighter, then we had to defend ourselves against predators, against, natural disasters. And so cortisol became important for our vertical position. So I think that's a really good example you give. But yes, you may think, wow, this is all about business, isn't it? Your body is your business plan. Yes, we are all internet business owners, an entrepreneur and so on. But we can't succeed externally until we succeed internally. So your biggest critic is you. You're the one who is saying, oh, that was terrible. I made such a mess. Oh, I'm never going to do that again. You are so perhaps, so self-critical. And so once we start to realize that criticism is something from the intellect, it doesn't exist in the body or the spirit. But once we start to identify that we are critical because the intellect demands that we are critical, actually, in our digital life, we have to criticize, we have to compare and contrast. Those are intellectual skills that are really important. But basically, the body and the spirit, everything below the neck, no such thing. The body's not critical. How can it be? The breath isn't critical. How can it be? And so, really getting out of your intellectual mind, getting out of this wonderful set of tools that we can use is the best possible thing you can do. And I think maybe, Arnold, that's what happened to you when you had your stress moment. You probably... Yes, go ahead. Tell us more.
I would say, I think it really took a while for the fast heartbeat to calm down. Like, it actually took a few months, and I was actually really scared because I was like thinking in my head, am I going to die? Is something bad going to happen to me?
Ooh.
But what I realized is it's a body signal. And I think the part you mentioned about self-criticism and comparison is also very important, because what I realized is that we always see people's highlight reels, but we don't see what happened behind the scenes, or maybe we have a different starting line in life. Like everyone has a different starting line in life. Maybe we do have a network for business. Others, like myself, I'm kind of still building the network from maybe a very small one to hopefully a larger one. So I think it's important to consider all these things rather than just jump to conclusions and stop the self-criticism. But actually, I also realized something else about self-criticism, and I'm not very sure what you think, but I realized it might be because we criticize ourselves before other people criticize us, because maybe we are scared it stings so much that we do it first.
I think that's a really good point. And I think speaking mentally, I think that probably is very true for some of us, And I think it depends on your makeup and your experience. And, we have 8 billion individuals on this planet, each one with different fingerprints, different DNA. Even identical twins have different DNA. They may look identical, but they have different DNA. So I think that's really true, that when we talk about these things, it's so difficult to generalize, because every single person is different. Every single person's experience predisposes them to behave in a certain way. And there's maybe 90% of our behavior we cannot change. That is set in our nervous system. We can't change that. That's our way of being, our modus vivendi, if you like. But we can start to change how we respond to these situations, like the one you found yourself in. And I think that's very pertinent to business. So, yeah, imagine you're, what do we call it? Firefighting. I'm sure as business owners, we've all experienced that, where you've got 6,000 different things happening all around you, and you're trying to put out those fires, almost all at once. And so basically, that is the kind of situation that moves people into a burnt out state, because you can't go on, you can't sustain, as Ebbie Sheila's favorite word this month is sustain. You can't sustain that constant firefighting, forever. And so that's when people quite often say, oh, I can't do this, I'm giving up, and they give up. And that's so sad that they do that. Because they're reacting to those fires, rather than saying, oh, I've got 300 fires here. Oh, I'll just go and have my dinner, which is what I do. There's a limit to what you can do in a certain time. So I'm absolutely determined never to work past 6 o'clock in the evening. My glass of Chardonnay is waiting for me. I'm going to watch a movie. And even if I've got 300 fires burning, I leave them to burn. It's too bad. No, I'm joking. Well, no, I'm not really. But that's a rather extreme example. But so, if we are reacting like that to all this stuff that's going on around us, of course we're going to burn out. But if we step back, just one step back, and I think, Arnold, that's probably what you did in your situation, just stepping back makes the perspective different. You see things completely differently, and therefore you respond to what's happening in a really different way. Christina, you're nodding and looking knowing. You've got experience of this, I think. Have you? Will you share it with us?
Yes, it's just reassessing. What Arnold just said just a moment ago absolutely was that comparison that we do. It's like, okay, I'm in my business, who else is out there? And suddenly you start to look at other people, and especially in the visibility space where, the women that I'm working with are immediately, well, she's getting speaking opportunities and I'm not. And why aren't I out there more in my genius? And it's, why are people not noticing? And that really can push into that burnout space. But just stepping back and going, okay, this isn't a competition against others. Let's stop and reassess where we need for ourselves. So instead of using that energy and focus over here in that comparison, it's like, let me look at my own growth trajectory and looking at that space and going, okay, this is what I need to do next, our own personal strategy of what we need to do best. And even with that pause and stepping back and going, oh, okay, stop all of this and just let's look in this one-way mirror here and see myself. And it's so good, you know. And I love what you said is the burnout is asking for space, is getting that space for yourself. You put it so beautifully in just a simple sentence.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it is. And literally it is. So if you imagine, and this may interest Arnold, and I know Ebishila knows this because we've talked about it before, but you know, imagine when you get stressed, you start to breathe very quickly and shallowly. So, you know, you're really breathing shallowly because fear is setting in. And you, what you do when you breathe like that is you're breathing really here in the upper chest, instead of down below the rib cage in the diaphragm. And that makes you really lightheaded. And so then you start to feel all sorts of strange sensations, you know, pains in your head and so on, because you're hyperventilating, perhaps. So something like the breath, something as simple as the breath, can bring you right down into your body. And you start to really realize that with your each breath, you're actually making space in the body. The diaphragm, the muscle beneath the rib cage, moves up and down when we breathe. When we breathe in, it moves down. When we breathe in, it moves up. And so each time that happens, we're making more space in the rib cage. We're making more space for all the organs to relax. So the heart spreads out. The kidneys can spread out. Everything starts to relax and spread out. And of course, you start to feel brilliant. You know, you start to feel much stronger and better. And so space is the key. And we can add to that gravity. This is really important, I think, because most people think gravity is a metaphor. You know, people say, oh, you've got to ground yourself, you know. So they think it's kind of metaphor, or it's just a collection of phrases or something like that. It's a physical force. The Earth has a gravitational field around it. And it's the only planet that scientists know of that does. We are here. We humans are here, being held on the Earth by the gravitational force. If it wasn't there, we'd be floating off and never be heard of again, you know, into the universe. But we're not. We're held here by gravity on the Earth. And so, yeah, grounding is not just a state of mind. In fact, far from it. It's not what you think. It's your state of being. And so, yeah, right now, maybe you can feel it in your chair. You can feel the weight of your lower body sinking down into your chair and your feet sinking down into the earth. Now that's gravity. It's a state of being. Once we are really grounded, truly grounded with gravity, by allowing our lower body to relax and sink down, we feel so safe. We're safe. We can't fall. We're safe. Then, with the breath and the spine and the notion of verticality, then we start to have this fabulous balance between the lower body and the upper body. And so we are both safe and held by the earth, but we're also able to lengthen the spine and look out at the horizon, pick some fruit from the tree. You know, we have the best of both worlds. So I think gravity in these situations of stress can always help if you allow it to. Ebishila, I can see there some words about to appear.
I mean, I'm nodding because you're just saying, everybody's been saying exactly what I'm thinking. So my focus is about human capacity. Like you said, the word sustainability. So can we sustain just always go, go, go? If we're not taking the pause to check what's happening within our bodies, because a lot of these things are due to the nervous system. And something else I found that would really intrigue me, because I've always been somebody who's like go, go, go. But the reason why I was go, go, go was because my body got used to going all the time. And so it developed that habit to the nervous system to protect you, develops the habit. So you go, 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 and you can't even sleep. And you think it's a positive thing that you're not having enough sleep and you're still very energetic. Because I was very energetic until I crashed. Because it's not sustainable, because we are human and we are not machines. So it's just biologically, and I wish Margaret was here, it's not sustainable. So taking that time to pause and think and just observe what's going on in the body, because the nervous system, it protects you by the fight, flight, or freeze, isn't it? So you're either running. So again, what affects another thing is that it affects your digestion. So you think, well, I'm on this diet and I'm doing this, I'm still putting on weight. That's because your food's not going through to digest properly, and everything's going straight to your legs to run. So you're in fight or flight. So you're mentally running all the time to protect yourself, because you're scared of maybe losing your job, because that's another thing people don't trust. So they're scared of losing their jobs. And the thing is that if you do lose your job, don't forget that you ever existed. But you be in the medical field trying to get yourself well. So people will forget. So it's very important that you remember who you are and take that pause. And everything will click and you'll have the clarity. Whereas if you're always on the go, you have a short temper, your clarity. There's a lot of people talking about brain fog, and I wonder why.
I wonder why too. Yeah, brain fog. Yeah, it's a chemical thing, So people say to me, "Oh, I did this mental strategy. I could get these 20 strategic points about becoming successful overnight." So I say, "Oh, did that work?" And they say, "No." No, it didn't work. It worked for a little while, but then it disappeared. And maybe they paid money for those strategies too, which breaks my heart. But
we are human beings, not human doings. So we have to be.
That's a good quote. Yes, that's very true. So basically, if you are able to pause, then it means that you will come down into your body and you will find that equilibrium again. And as Ed says, what we're doing is not a sprint, it's a marathon, isn't it? Being internet business owner is about running a marathon, not a sprint, because we've got to sustain.
Not just internet, not anything you're doing, even if you have a corporate job, you have any job, it's a marathon, and life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. There is no rush, and I like where Arnold talks about competition, because that's a big thing. Because we compare ourselves, we don't know what's going on the other. We only see the successes, like all the successful people. You don't know how many years they've struggled to get to where they are. And we just see them. They're making a lot of money now, but how many failures? How many opportunities for growth have they had before they got to that point of what we term success, which is not actually success, because success is internal. Yeah.
Well, yeah, success is such a relative word, isn't it, really? I mean, what do you think, Christina?
Oh, indeed. And again, I loved what you said about success being internal. When we stop and look at that space within, it is absolutely internal, because at the end of the day, it's our friends, our family, those that are surrounding us, and those experiences with people than what car we're driving or what house we're living in. It's really, that is so important, the relationships that we've developed. And I love this, what Evie, Sheila, you just said too, in the pause. Because what I think, when we have that pause, it allows us space. And in that space, we have time to grow. Because if we're always chasing, always moving and going in this, there's no room. If we stop, we've now made the space for the growth.
I love that. I love that. Yes, I mean, we've got the very perfect example in all our backgrounds, because we were all born. So in the womb.
I think Arnold wanted to say something. Sorry.
Sorry.
Arnold.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was also wondering a little bit about an example about those people who feel the need to keep up with the Joneses. I mean, coming from Singapore, we also have this word called kiasu. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's something similar to keeping up with the Joneses, not wanting to lose out. And as a result, maybe people, they see maybe, oh, my friend has a very big and expensive condominium or a very nice and fancy sports car, and they want to pay it. But in the process of having it, they also have to forego a lot of their money, and maybe they also have a lot of debt to pay back. So there's also that cost that maybe a lot of us don't see, or maybe they never even talk about.
Yeah, I think that's really, really true. I think that the limitations, of course, limitations are usually very psychological. I would say that the unlimited mind, the mind down here below the neck, is, there are no limitations, really. Once we start to pause, once we start to become embodied, we're unlimited, we're unstoppable. That's a phrase. Christina, I think you use that, don't you? Unstoppable.
Yes.
I've seen that in your posts. I think we become unstoppable because we are really connected with our true nature, with our true energy and potential. And well, the sky's the limit, really. The limitations are here. We can say, oh, no, I can't possibly do that. I can't possibly earn $1 billion. That's for somebody else to do. But we can earn $1 billion. We all have that incredible potential. And I look at people around me, and then their potential is not nearly realized at all, because they're stuck here. They're stuck in the mental realm. And the mental realm, as we said earlier, will criticize and will say, you can't do that. And I'll tell you a funny story. A good friend of ours, when she was 6, was a very good pianist. She played piano really well. And she really loved Beethoven. We all know Beethoven, don't we? Da, 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 da. The Beethoven Fifth. We all know that. And she really wanted to be Beethoven. She thought she was going to be the next Beethoven. So she said to her father, I want to be Beethoven. And her father looked at her down his nose and said, who do you think you are? Now, she is nearly 90, this friend of ours, and she is still haunted by her father's words, which hold her back. Still hold her back. So a lot of what we have to do to be successful internally is to push away those external words, which we tend to hold on to, don't we? A lot of the work I do is about changing the script that people are using, especially if they're sick. They're telling people, oh, I just got this terrible pain, I'm never going to get rid of it, and it's very negative. And they're constantly, reiterating this, and it's kind of knocking that notion through the cells, and so very often language can cripple us in a way, because we hang on to those words. Any comments on that? We've done quite a lot of work on language, haven't we, in these sessions?
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of things to say about language and all, because I think especially as kids, we can't really discern from what is true and what is not. So we automatically believe everything we are told. And I think that's why some people, the scars that they have from a very young age, they are still carried with them. Like the example that Linden mentioned, who, for the person who is 90 and still carries the scars of her dad's words. And I also feel that it's important to also take what people say with a pinch of salt, because many times people are projecting what they believe and not so much what actually is for you. Like maybe they would think, oh, you just want to upgrade your lifestyle, you want to maybe get a higher salary, but maybe that's not what you want. Maybe the high salary comes with too many more responsibilities, or maybe it doesn't really allow you to slow down. So yeah, I think it's also important to know, like, where are they coming from? Does it really match? Not because they're coming from a bad place necessarily, but it's more like a mismatch.
Right. Yes, I think, parents have a terrible responsibility in a way, because they are, bringing up their children, and they have to discipline them and to teach them about morality and so on. And I think very often under pressure, they may say things they possibly would regret later. I remember my mother did that. She, when she got much older, she cried a lot and said, "Oh, I know I said terrible things to you when you were a child." And I said, "Did you?" And she said, "Oh, yes, I remember them all. I've written them all down." And she's written all these things down in this little book. So we talked about it, and of course we forgave each other, and that was fine. But she was very elderly at that point. But yeah, I think being a parent and using language, such a huge responsibility, Christina. No,
and teachers too. I think teachers have such a profound effect on on children.
Yes.
Too. So actually, everything, isn't it? Not just, I mean, obviously the parents is the first call, but even then, even peers, even friends too, can say things that stick with their child, and the child can take it more seriously than the comfort the parents giving. So you, as a parent, you're giving the child comfort, but no, it's what they heard on the outside that they take more seriously. So yeah, it's depends on the personalities too. We're so complex, aren't we? As human beings, we're really, really complex, and that's why learning to let go is crucial as we grow up to be adults, because you can't blame, you just can't, because we're just so complex.
And just before Christina, go ahead.
Yes, no, and it's interesting, that whole limiting belief that we put on ourselves. One of the things that I actually teach about that inner work is, when you say I'm not good enough, stop and ask, who told you that? Who told you weren't smart enough? Who told you weren't good enough? And remember, that's not your voice. That was somebody else who said it to you. And just like you said, when you let it go and realize it's not your voice, you can step forward into your own voice and say yes. And then sky is the limit.
I'm so glad.
No limit, not even a limit.
There's no limit. Yeah, there's no limit. That's right. I'm glad you mentioned the voice, because that's the key, really. And that's a lot of the work that Lodestone does. Lodestone is a program which will, through mindful practice and 30 days of daily practice, will actually make you your agent, your prime agent. In other words, it reconnects you with yourself. So instead of having all these external voices from parents and teachers and prime ministers and all of this stuff, we become the agents participating in our life fully. And we need that mindful pause of 30 days, 30 minutes a day, to try to soften the hardwiring, to get rid of those voices, to get rid of those voices which we've taken into our fabric of life. And so, the pause is definitely the big theme. We're running out of time. I can't believe it.
We have run out of time.
So fast.
So fast, yeah. So we should come up at the end to the exciting prospect of the summit. Ebishila, over to you.
Oh yeah, so we have the Burnout and Embodiment Summit next Tuesday and Wednesday. And at the end of it, we have a roundtable, which is really exciting. So we have the speakers going to be talking about answering questions, just general questions from their own different perspectives. And like Linden said at the beginning, it's not about it can never happen to you, but it's about being able to manage it, to be able to understand the signs, to be able to get advice on what you can do. So people's personal experience too will be shared. So it's really great. So come and join the conversation. We're really glad to have you all.
Yeah, we're really excited. And Arnold, what are you going to talk about? Give us a brief glimpse of your talk.
Yeah. So my talk is essentially about identity boundaries, because many of us, we define our identities by our jobs and our achievements and the things that we do well. But the problem with that is that any setback, and these setbacks will definitely come. It's not a matter of if, but when. When these setbacks come, it will feel like a verdict on us. It will feel like we have failed or we are total failure, and it feels very devastating. So it's about knowing how to not let it define us and not let what other people say define us. Because we also talked about what parents and teachers and whichever other people can say to us, and they can actually have a very strong impact on us. But it's about how we manage that, and we can listen and consider it, but we don't have to let it dictate our path or decide it for us.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that too. Looking forward very much to your talk, Arnold. Christina, are you going to join us for this Burnout Summit? I think I've invited you. Have I invited you? I think I have.
I don't know. I might be swimming down at the waterfalls when I'm here. I'll be at the beach. So I have some of my own pause, to keep myself from burnout. So I'll watch the replay.
Well, you'd be very welcome if you can join us. And and I'll check that I have invited you. I think I have. But it's going to be great, because we want to really flesh out what burnout is. And the work we're doing with Lodestone is really teaching us so much about how different people burn out. And it's what we were saying earlier, there are 8 billion people on the planet and 8 billion scenarios for each person burning out. There's no pattern, there's no research that can bring all this together and say, oh yes, 20% of the population burn out in this way and 30 in this way. We can't get that because there are just so many unique ways of burning out. By looking at different perspectives from our speakers, we're going to be examining that. And then Margaret Barry, who is a real nutrition expert and a body chemistry expert, is going to come and join us at the end, and she'll talk about body chemistry and how that all really fits with the burnout. She's quite a burnout expert and quite experienced. So I think it's going to be great to get many perspectives on what it is. The WHO defines it as a workplace problem that's as far as we go. There are no other concrete definitions. It's a workplace problem. So Abby, Sheila and I are really trying to get into the workplace to get people to work with lodestone and, you know, really drill down beneath all this conditioning so they can find their ID, as Arnold was saying. They can find who they truly are. And once you've got that equilibrium, then you're much less likely to burn out. Christina, have you ever burned out? No.
I've been there, and it's not a happy place. Oh, indeed, indeed.
Have you?
And when I sense it coming on, I stop and take that pause, intentional. Take everything off my schedule and get back to me.
Good for you. Yeah, I know so many people. And Arnold, you've never experienced burnout personally.
Oh, I have. I have.
Good. I thought you'd say that. So we want to know about that.
Yeah.
Maybe Sheila has. And I'm the odd man out because I've never experienced it. And that's, I think, because I'm very balanced and have been very balanced during my kind of spiritual life and so on. But just to finish off with, when my younger brother was 21, that's many years ago now, he burnt out. He had a nervous breakdown. And I was there. And this is where I became quite passionate about burnout, because it was incredibly difficult to get him into a state of being where he could even look at himself in the mirror. He couldn't even look at himself because he felt he had failed so badly. It's a terrible thing. And we, Abby, Sheila and I especially, want to put all our energy into stopping people having to go through it. You know, we don't want people to experience it. So if you'd like some tips about how to avoid it, come and join it. And if you can't come for the whole thing, I think the round table will be really good. And then we're going to, Abby, Sheila, we're going to run a webinar afterwards, aren't we? Maybe 7 or 8 days later. So maybe you can make that. Yeah, great. We'll keep you in the know about it. So thank you so much. It's been great to have you. I'm so glad you could all make it. And this is 12 of the 6th cycle of Your Body is Your Business Plan. I can't believe it's run 6 times. And next week is the last week. And then in early October, late September, early October, we'll start a new cycle 7. And we're going to be much more focused on embodiment and embodiment practice and how you can really have direct experience of embodiment. So I hope you'll come and join us for cycle 7, and we'll, start all over again. So thanks so much, and I hope you have a great day. Are you on the beach today, Christine? I know it looks dark outside.
It's tomorrow morning.
That's right. I think you're the same time as me, 10:15 in the Philippines.
9.
Right.
Yes.
Depends. Yeah. And Arnold, you are, what time is it with you?
It's slightly past 8 in the evening.
8 in the evening.
Yeah.
And Abby Sheila's in England, so it's lunchtime for her, lucky thing. And I'm going to bed soon. So wonderful to see you, and hopefully see you again next cycle. Bye for now. Thank you so much. was wonderful. Wonderful to have such great guests. Just wanted to mention that next week is the last session in this cycle. And next week, we're going to be talking about LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about LinkedIn and how you can promote yourself on LinkedIn, and what a great platform it is. So if you'd like to know more about that, come and join us, and we'll give you a few secrets and a few insights if you're new to LinkedIn. But yes, we'll be here again, same time, same place. See you then. Your Body is Your Business Plan, the Masterclass. And I'm Linden Thorp. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye for now.